this morning you will need your dish towel and access to a wall or the top of a couch or something where you can just rest your feet and sort of scoot your butt close to that wall or couch, whatever works for you. And then we will get started. You can take your towel and you can put it off to the side for now, but we will need it in a minute or so. And you're just gonna come down onto the ground, find your wall or your couch, and you're just gonna get as close to the wall as you can with your butt, and then you're gonna bring your feet onto the wall. Or again, you could just have your calves and heels resting on the floor, and just take a second here to let your arms fall by your side, and take a nice big inhale, and then gently, as you exhale, press your feet either into the wall or like gently down towards the couch cushion, and then inhale, and then exhale, press away and gently down from your legs. And again, a nice big inhale and exhale. And then from here, you're just going to sort of rock your knees from one side to the other. Your left leg, if you're going towards the right with your legs, may not get very far, but let your right leg come all the way out, and then switch to the other side. Let your left leg fall out to the left and your right leg come over a little. Trying to keep your hips grounded on the floor. One more time. Letting that right leg come out, left leg across. Try to breathe into that left hip flexor if that's catching you. And then center, and then left. And then come back with both knees facing up towards the ceiling. And then you're just going to think here about gently tucking your tailbone under slightly, as though you're going to pull it off the ground, but don't do that. And then exhale, let your tailbone be nice and heavy. So on your inhale, you're letting your tailbone be heavy. Exhale, think about curling it under like it's going to lift off the floor. And then on your inhale, find that neutral spine. Maybe even a slight little arch. And then curl it back under, just isolating that lower back and pelvis, moving here, going at your own pace. Good. And then from here, bring your hands onto the sides of your ribs where your thumbs are almost back behind you. And take a nice big inhale. Feel your ribs expand wide into your hands, your breath go all the way down to your pelvis, and then your back body gently pressing into the floor and your ribs slightly lifting. So you're really breathing in all 360 degrees, and then exhale, just release. And then again, inhale. And then exhale. Just notice where your breath travels or where maybe it gets stuck. Another big inhale here. And exhale. 2 more. And last one. Good. And then from here, you're gently going to roll onto one side, and you're going to come up to sit. And then make it to a high kneeling position here. So having your knees stacked right over your hips right over your knees, gently think about drawing your hip bones up towards your rib cage so that you're nice and connected through the front. And then from here, you're going to take your towel, fold it in half, and then just like fold it again so you have it in a nice long line. And you're going to extend your arms out in front of you. Take a second here to reach your fingertips, your knuckles away and around the top of your upper back and your head. Let it drop your chin towards your chest, and then gently pull your shoulder blades back as you stack your spine out nice and tall. So only the upper body is moving, rounding forward through that upper back, head drops, and then pull yourself all the way back up tall, shoulder blades gently glide down your back. Again, round forward through the upper back, press down through the legs and the feet so you don't want to tilt forward, and stack your spine all the way back up. This time you're going to pull that towel apart and bring your elbows wide as the towel comes in towards your chest, and then exhale, bring it out long. Think about growing nice and tall through the crown of your head as that towel comes in. And extend. And extend. 4 more. 3. Feeling your shoulder blades gently gliding towards one another. 2. And last one. And leave your arms long. Press your arms down towards your legs as you curl your head, neck, and shoulders forward. And then lift all the way up with the arms towards the ceiling without arching that back. Arms still stay in your periphery. And then press down and round forward just through the upper body. Hips stay still. And then find that extension with the arms up towards the ceiling. And up. Just like if we were laying on the ground doing an ab prep here. And up, last one. And stack your spine all the way up, leaving your arms here. And then you're gonna bring your arms ever so slightly back. And then you're gonna bring your head ever so slightly forward, but think about lengthening the neck as you bring your head forward, pulling your elbows wide. The towel's gonna touch your upper back, and then lengthen the arms towards the ceiling. Pull that towel apart as though you're gonna rip it. And then keep pulling it apart as you lift up. And again, open those elbows wide and back up. Lower body doesn't change. 3 more. Keep thinking about drawing those hips towards your ribs, keeping that connection in the front without arching your back. And last one. And then bring your arms in front of you. From here, you're gonna hinge back from the knees, so you're staying in one long line from the crown of your head to your knees, and then lift all the way up. From here, lift your arms up overhead, and then lower your arms down, pull the towel apart as you hinge back, pause, and then lift your arms as you come up. On your inhale, hinge. Exhale, lift up. Think about pausing for a second at the back so you're not using momentum in either direction. And hinge back. Keep pulling that towel apart. 4 more. 3. 2. Last one. Pause here. Send your hips back towards your heels and then drop your towel. From here, take your towel, fold it in half, and then you're gonna roll it up and make a little roll up here, just like this. And you're gonna put it in between your knees. And if this doesn't feel like enough and you wanna grab a bigger towel and roll it up, that's totally fine. Or you can just get rid of it and think about keeping your legs, your knees all the way together. From here, tuck your toes under and come into an all fours position. And you're just gonna take a second here and give that towel a little bit of a squeeze. And then release. And then give it a little squeeze. And release. Taking a nice big inhale. Exhale, feel that squeeze. Feel the inner thighs. If you were to poke your adductors, those inner thighs, you'd see, oh wow, lots of muscle there, or maybe one side is doing all the work and the other is not. 2 more. And release. Last one. Good. And then just keep your towel roll up, but you're just gonna take it out for a second from underneath your legs. And you're gonna extend your right leg back behind you, and you're just gonna float it up. You can untuck the toes if you'd like, and then tap that right leg down towards the floor and lift it up. And tap. And lift. Check in and make sure your weight has not shifted over to the left, and that you're staying nice and square through the pelvis, through the shoulders. 2 more. Last one, keep that leg lifted, flex the knee, flex the foot, reach the foot up towards the ceiling, and then drop the knee all the way down, and then press the leg back up. So knee drops down, think about reaching back with your sitting bone as you lower, and then reaching through your knee, long back behind you to open through the hip flexor, and quad as you lift. 4 more. 3, 2. Last one, pause here. Drop down onto your forearms. You're going to externally rotate that knee out to the side and then return it back to neutral, and then externally rotate. And then return it back to neutral. So that foot is falling in towards midline, your knee reaching out to the right, and then rotate it back to parallel. Out to the side and back to parallel. Pressing through the arms, gentle drag back through the elbows towards the knees, engaging through the armpits and the sides. Last one here. Keep your leg externally rotated. Lower it down, lift it up in that shape. And down, and up, and down, and up. 5 more. 4. Make sure your neck is nice and long. 2. Last one, pause at the top. Rotate your leg back to neutral, and now find internal rotation. So that foot is going to come out to the side and then bring it back to the center. So internally rotate through that right femur back to the center. Rest of your body is not moving. Maybe your neck is for a second, or head rather, to check in. 2 more. Last one, leave it internally rotated, drop it down. This will be a much smaller range of motion. Drop it down and then think about reaching back through the foot over slightly towards that right side for 4. 3, 2. Last one, bring that leg back to neutral, drop it all the way down. You're going to bring yourself back onto your hands, and you're going to bring your toes together, toes together, knees apart, not feet apart. And then you're going to sit back to a child's pose. And then as you come forward, you're going to tuck the toes under. And on your exhale, you're going to lift your knees up to a hover with your feet more or less touching and your knees wide. And then lower all the way down. You can keep your feet curled under if that feels comfortable. Sending yourself back to this modified child's pose. And then as you come forward, exhale, pick the knees up. Drop the knees. Send yourself back. And lift. And lower. And lift. 5 more. Sending yourself back. Forward, pressing through the arms, lifting yourself up. Nothing should really change except the height of your pelvis. You're just exhaling as you lift those knees up. Back down. 1 more. We will switch sides. And then untuck your toes if you had them tucked before. Reach your hands forward. Come back into a nice, truly restful child's pose here for a moment. And then come all the way up onto your hands again. And then bring your legs back to a parallel position. From here, extend the left leg back. And then float that leg up off the floor, keeping it nice and long. And then tap it down and lift. Thinking about reaching your toes so far back behind you that it just floats up off the ground. Ribs are gently drawn in. They're still connected to your hips. And a nice neutral pelvis here. Not arched, or really moving the spine as you lift and lower your leg. 4 more. 3, 2, last one, bend the knee, flex the foot, and then you're going to tap that knee down and lift it right back up. Try to relax through the toes even though this foot is flexed. You don't also need to pull those toes back aggressively towards your shin. 4 more. 4. 3, make sure your weight hasn't shifted all the way over to the right. This next time, you're going to leave it up, coming down onto your forearms. You're going to externally rotate that leg and then bring it back to the center. So right or left foot comes into midline as your knee goes out to the side. Try to keep yourself nice and square here. 5 more. And then we're going to keep that shape. Making it nice and smooth, that internal rotation. Last one, keep the shape as you touch it down. And lift. And down. And up. 5 more. 2. Last one, pause with that leg at the top, rotate its parallel. Now you're going to internally rotate and bring it back to center. And internal and center. Internal and center. 3 more. 2. Last one, pause with it in and then lower that leg down and then lift it back up, keeping that internal rotation. The foot is just along for the ride. Really think about what that femur is doing more than anything else. 3, 2. Last one, pause with it at the top, rotate it back to parallel, drop it down, press yourself back up onto your hands, and from here, you are going to tuck those toes under again. Take a nice big inhale, exhale, bring yourself up into your bear plank here. Think about squeezing that towel together. You're in parallel. If you'd like, you can take the towel and you can just put it in between your thighs. That works too. I'm going to put it a little higher. And then come back up and find that bear plank. From here, take a nice big breath in. On your exhale, squeeze the towel. You can bring your legs all the way together if that helps. And then release. And give it a squeeze. Knees are only about an inch above the floor. And squeeze. For 5, 4, 3, 2. Last one, drop the knees, uncurl the toes, sit yourself back into a child's pose. And then come forward, tuck the toes under, lift up, give the towel a squeeze. Again, this can be between your knees or your thighs, whatever is a more comfortable place. Or you can get rid of it altogether and just do it by thinking about what you're doing. And back. Tuck those toes under, getting a nice stretch through the feet as you lift. Lower down. And then find your child's pose. 3 more. 2. And down. Last one. Lift. Drop whatever is between your knees. And then you're going to extend your right leg back behind you. Tap it down towards the floor and lift for 3, 2. Last one. Bring that leg in. Make sure your other leg hasn't creeped away from the floor. Extend the left leg back. Tap it down and lift for 3, 2. Spine is nice and long. Last one. Bring it underneath you. Drop your knees down but nice and wide. And sit back and find yourself in a nice child's pose here. Rock your hips from one side to the other. And then grab onto your towel if you would like it. And you're going to put it between your knees and come onto your right side. So your knees are in line with your hips. And here you're going to think about that elbow or forearm pressing into the floor, lift up and away. And then your knees are more or less in line with your torso, but they don't have to be like completely in one long line with your feet back behind you. And from here, think about finding length through that top leg. So you're going to let your top knee come over your right leg, and then you're going to feel it draw back up and in. And then you're going to think about lengthening through that left side, but not through the hip, or not through the waist rather. and then let it come back. So it's very small. Maybe it's through opening through the front of the hip is where you find you get that space, and then you bring it back. 2 more. And back. Last one. And find that space where your knees are stacked more or less over one another. You may find you have a little bit more opening through the front of your hip here. Hand can come onto your hip. You're going to give that towel a little squeeze, and you're going to lift your hips up. And then lower your hips down. If you need to adjust where your knees are, go for it. And then you're going to lift back up. From here, you're going to take your arm up overhead. Get a nice side bend. Keep pressing the floor away. Bring that arm up. Lower the hips, tap them down, and then lift them straight back up. And tap them down. Keep reaching towards the ceiling with that top arm. And lower. Hips stay square. They're facing the front for 3, 2, last one. Lower all the way down. Your hand can come to the floor, to your hip, whatever you'd like. You're going to internally rotate that left leg and lower it back down. And then internally rotate and back down. And internal rotation and down. 3 more. 2. Last one. And then from here, you're going to lift yourself back into that side plank. You're going to lower down and do that little internal rotation. Lift into that side plank. Internal rotation. And lift. You can bring your arm back up if that feels good. Make sure that that right arm is pulling in underneath you. It hasn't started to reach away. Staying connected through that whole underside. 2 more. Lift. And last one. Hold this side plank. Reach your top arm. Rotate underneath. And then open it up towards the ceiling. And then rotate underneath. Just the torso is rotating. Your hips are facing forward for 4, 3, a lot of armpit, 2, last one. And then lower all the way down. And then come onto your back. Laying all the way down. You can, again, keep that towel in between the knees if that feels good. You're going to take your arms by your side. Find yourself in a nice neutral spine here. Ribs and hips have some connection to one another. And instead of curling through the spine, you're going to press your feet straight down into the floor. Feel your knees reach away from you, and you're going to lift up into a nice hip bridge here. And then tap your hips down to the floor. And when your hips hit, you're going to bring your knees in toward your chest for a little release. And then lower your legs down to the floor. And then lift those hips up. And then lower them down. And then hinge at the hips. Think about reaching your sitting bones away from you as your knees come in. That little roll through that pelvis. And then same thing here. Keep your heels close to your butt and let them touch down. Keeping your abdominals engaged, using your breath here. And then pick yourself back up. And drop those hips. Feel the sitting bones reaching forward, roll in through the femur as knees come towards your chest. You can give them a little hug if that feels good. And then bring your arms by your side. If you find that you can't get your legs to the ground without your stomach wanting to puff up towards the ceiling, just grab on behind the thighs and give them a little extra support as you lower the legs down, so it would look like this. So you can even lift your head if you need. Lower the head as you lift the hips. We're going to do 4 more like this. This class is a lot of contract and release at the same time, or within the same exercise. Last 2 here. And then this time, bring your knees in towards your chest. Give yourself a little rock from one side to the other. And then lower your hips all the way down. And then you're going to roll onto your left side. So again, from here, find that positioning that feels good for you in a little modified side plank here on your forearm. Find that left arm dragging in towards you, feeling that whole underside of your left side engage. And then from here, gently open through the front of the hips, and then you're going to think about finding length through this top leg and then sort of bringing it back in underneath you and feeling like what that feels like and what that looks like. Trying to find your femur sort of settling into the hip socket instead of pushing forward, which can mess up your gait, your breathing. And how effectively you can recruit all of your core muscles. 2 more. Finding that little bit of length. Last one, pause here. Reach the arm up towards the ceiling. And you're going to You're going to lift your hips up towards the ceiling and then reach your arm over. Get a nice stretch here. You may feel like that's where you want to come away from that left arm. Instead, pull it gently underneath you. Bring your hand up towards the ceiling, drop your hips, and lift, and drop, and lift. 5 more. 3, 2, neck is nice and long. Last one. Drop down and then internally rotate through that right leg. You can bring your hand to your hip or to the floor, whatever feels good. You can always adjust where your knees are in relation to your torso for this as well. For 5, 4, 3, last one. Good. Lower your legs both down, lift through the hips, find that side plank. Lower the hips down, find that internal rotation. Lower the foot and lift. And down. And internally rotate. Hips are staying square to the front. Four more. Then we're going to add that rotation through the upper torso. And then we'll come back to a little bit more bridging. 2. Last one, pause at the top of your side plank here. Feel that left arm come underneath you and then rotate and open for 6. 4, make sure your shoulder isn't coming forward over that elbow. 3, 2, last one. And then lower the hips all the way down. Keep the towel where it is. Plant the feet and then roll your torso down to the floor. And then bring your hands by your side. You can keep that towel in between your legs still. And then from here, curl the tailbone under. Feel your whole low back sort of like paint along the floor. And then peel yourself all the way up into a nice bridge here. Feel your feet press down through the floor and then gently drag towards your shoulders. And then you're going to think about lengthening your right knee away from you and your left knee will come in a little and then switch. Almost like you're rolling sort of the towel between your knees. And let the left one go. And you can lift your head to check in and see what's happening here. You can probably feel the towel start to move a little. Relaxing through the upper body. You can even bring your arms to goalpost arms if that feels comfortable. You're going to do 2 more to each side. Last time to the right and last time to the left. And then square yourself off. Take that towel out from underneath you. Bring it to the side. And then you're going to peel yourself down all the way, one vertebrae at a time. And then release in neutral. From here, tuck your tailbone under, and you're going to lift yourself back up. And you're going to bring your right leg up into tabletop, and then tap it down towards the floor. And then lift that right leg back up into tabletop. If you feel that you need more support through the upper body, bring your arms back down towards your side. Maybe keep them a little bit wider away from your hips so that you have more of a chance to stay open through the chest. 2 more with the right side lifting. Last one. Plant it all the way down, switch sides. Left leg lifts. And place it all the way down. Keeping those hips nice and still. Your torso is relaxed, as relaxed as possible. And your left hip hasn't started to hike up. So you're still reaching long with both knees away from your hips. 2. Last one. And then lower your hips all the way down here. Bring your knees in towards your chest and grab behind the thighs. And then just gently roll from one side to the other, keeping your hips, or your knees rather, nice and wide here. And then just take a nice breath in and flop your feet, let your legs go. Take a big breath in. Sort of like we did when we had our feet on the wall, and then exhale, release all the way. One more time. Feel your breath sort of go everywhere, even down to your pelvis. And exhale. Then you're going to bring your knees together, grab onto your shins, and then try to rock yourself all the way up. And then from here, find that tall kneeling position again. And then you're going to bring your right leg out to the side, toes pointed forward or slightly out to an angle, whatever is more comfortable for you. And then you're going to tuck your left toes under, and you're going to think about drawing the hip bone up towards your rib. Same thing on this right side. And then just think about getting this nice stretch through the quad here. Lift up with that left arm. Grab onto your right, either hip or rib cage, whatever feels better, and side bend up and over towards the right side. Take a minute here to breathe. Let this right shoulder relax. Keep thinking about pressing forward through the hips for this nice stretch. And then you're going to hinge at the hips, and you're going to bring your hands down onto the ground and then walk yourself out so that your hip is right over your knee. And then from here, with those toes tucked under, you're going to sit all the way back towards your heel, or however back you can. Getting that nice stretch through the foot, release through the pelvic floor, and a nice stretch through that inner side of the right leg. And then coming forward, and then press back. And forward, and back. We'll do 4 more just like this. Taking your time. Two more. Last one. And then come all the way back up to this nice tall kneeling position. Check if your knee has wanted to run away from you. Make sure it's right underneath that hip. Feel the drawing in connection between both of your thighs as though they're squeezing together. You can untuck your toes here if you would like. Again, find that openness through the hips, hands behind your head. Think about growing nice and tall, and then find that nice long line out to the left. Right foot is heavy, and side bend up and over to the right. If it is too much to have your hands behind your head, cross them over your chest. And out to the side. And then think about shortening that right side as you lengthen through the left. And as you come out long, you're finding length through both sides. And over. 3 more. 2. Last one, pause here. Rotate towards the floor, rotate center, and side bend. And then lengthen, rotate to the floor, hips stay nice and still, rotate forward, and side bend. 4 more. Think about the rotation really coming from your rib cage. 2. Last one. And then side bend all the way over to this left or right side. And come all the way up. Bring your right knee down. Left leg is going to come out to the side. Having your knee right underneath your hip. And then your foot either pointed straight or slightly out to the side, whatever is more comfortable. And then again, bring your hands down, tuck your toes under. Find that spot where your hip starts right over your knee. And then send yourself back for this nice stretch. And come forward, taking your time. Three more. Oh, we forgot the stretch. We'll do it extra long when we're done. 2 more. The last one. And then, okay, keep your toes tucked under here for the stretch. Reach up with that right arm and then grab onto that left side. Feel that hip open and pull the hip bone up towards your ribs and then slowly, gently side bend up and over to that left side. Think about breathing into your hand, be it on all the way down to your hip, your abdominals, or your rib cage. And then stack yourself all the way up, hands behind your head, or again, in front of your chest. Anchor through that left foot. Tuck the pelvis under gently. Find that nice long line, and again, make sure that that left leg is pulling in towards the right ever so slightly. And side bend up and over to the left side. And then find your length and up and over. Inhale as you extend. Press the head gently into the hands, hands into the head, so you're not jutting your neck forward. 2 more like this. Up. Last one. And over. Perfect. This time, side bend. Rotate to the floor. Rotate to the center and side bend. 5 more. Inhale as you extend. Exhale as you twist. Inhale as you come forward, and then exhale to side bend. 3 more. Make sure that right leg isn't getting away from you. Up. Last one. And over. Find that nice side bend here. And then come down onto all fours. Bring your knees nice and wide. Sit back into a child's pose again here for 1 last minute. Take a big inhale. Feel your back ribs really expand. Try to breathe all the way down into your pelvis again. If you're wearing super compression leggings, you can always flip the waistband down so you can actually give your stomach a chance to expand. Or if you're in pajamas, then you're probably all set. And from here, you're going to come back and find yourself in a modified plank position. Keeping it in the modified position for right now, you're going to tuck your tailbone under, find that whole length through the front of your body. Bend your elbows back by your sides. Make sure you have space on your mat. I'm going to slide back. Okay. And then from here, you're going to lift your hands off the mat, and you're going to lift your head, neck, and shoulders up into this nice extension. Your legs are heavy. Feel your shoulder blades gently draw in towards one another. Your tailbone and your hips are heavy. So the extension is coming from your mid-back rather than your low back. And then lower all the way down. Find your hands back right behind your shoulders, and then exhale, press the floor away and find your modified plank position. And again, bend your elbows down by your side, hands up off the floor as you lift your chest into extension. Lower down, press the floor away. Lift your whole torso all in one nice long line, hands up, find that extension. And lower all the way down. Exhale the floor away. If you want to tuck your toes under and find yourself in a full plank for the next 4, you are welcome to. Lower all the way down. Also, if you want to add your legs lifting off the floor to this, you can. Just make sure that you're out of that low back. Lower down. Press the floor away. And lower down. I'm going to do this not lifting my feet, but I will tuck and untuck my toes. And then back down 2 more. Last one. Lower down. Lift, find that extension. Pause here. Extend the arms back by your side. Let your tailbone be nice and heavy. Find another little inch. And then reach through the fingertips. Bend. Bring your palms to face the floor. Hands right by your shoulders. Reach them overhead as far as you can until you start to feel it. Positioning your back change. Then draw them back in. Hands by your shoulders. And then extend out. Keeping that extension, bend them back in. 4 more. And maybe you can extend your arms all the way today. That's fine. 2. Last one. Drop them down by your shoulders. Tuck those toes under. Press the floor away. And then lift your hips. And find yourself in a nice downward dog here. Bend one leg and then the other. Think about finding length through your neck. Excuse me. Sneezing upside down is odd. One more time, each side through the legs. Lift both heels, bend both knees, press back, and then find that extra bit of length through your heels, through the backs of your legs as you lower your heels towards the floor. And then drop your knees down onto the ground. And then take your towel, sit on your butt. You can bring whatever foot forward you want in a cross-legged position, or you can have your legs out in front of you if you'd like. Take your towel, fold it in half long ways, fold it in half again. Put it behind your neck, and then wrap it up and around over the tips of your ears. Bring your arms together in front. Think about pulling gently through the crown of the head. The ribs have dropped. They're not open. You're not extending. You're just sitting here. And you're going to drop your head forward. Think about finding length through the back of your neck. And then drag your head along your collarbone. Bring your right ear towards your right shoulder. Pull gently with that left hand. Getting a little stretch through the neck. And then let your chin roll around towards the collarbone. Left ear to left shoulder. Give it a little tug with the right. That left side is nice and relaxed. Breathe here. And then one more time to each side. Let your chin roll along your collarbone. Let your right ear find your right shoulder. Give that left arm a little tug. Exhale. And over to the other side. Left ear to left shoulder. And gently pull with that right hand. And then from here, bring your head back to the center. Let the towel drop. You can just leave it around your neck. Reach up through the fingertips. And then twist and rotate over to the right. Bring your left hand to your right knee and then gently find a little bit of lift through that right arm, pressing into the floor. Take a nice breath here. And then let yourself gently unwind. Lift your arms up, and you're going to twist to the other side. Right hand to your left leg. Left hand presses and helps you find a little bit more lift, maybe a little bit more twist. One more breath here. And then let yourself uncurl. Lift your hands all the way up towards the ceiling. Externally rotate and then press down. Think about growing tall but leaving your legs relaxed. Don't let your knees pull up. As your arms find your side. And you are all finished. Thank you. See you next week.